before I forget it. And then we'll wait till everyone's here for both our teams.
Okay. Be right back.
All right. Anyone else we're waiting for on your team here, Patrick?
Just Robert.
It's Robert. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure I wasn't missing anyone here. And here he is now.
Great.
Okay. Our team's here. If your team's all here, we're
Okay.
ready to go. We got the recording going.
Great. All right. Well, first I want to recognize the patience of the GAU team. I know we have been away from the table for several weeks while we reconsidered some of the components of the negotiations. I think we had talked about the fact that we're really close on a number of articles, with one real major outstanding component being Article 16. Our interpretation wasn't necessarily that the GAU team represented, look, it's everything else hinges on this, but that was sort of what we intuited. Y'all didn't say that explicitly. I'm not saying you did, but there was definitely some consideration of, at least what we interpreted was, look, we'll make concessions on a lot of these others, but the 16 is one that we're just not willing to move on. So we spent a lot of time talking about it, and the bottom line is that we are unwilling to change our position regarding our insistence on removing that provision from the contract. I'm sure that's disappointing to hear, but the bottom line is that we are going to be reasserting the proposal that we previously gave you on May 23rd, which was a reiteration of the same proposal from several previous proposals. So I'm happy to send that to you again, along with what I just want to say for the record on the session. We believe we still have 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 23, 24, 25, and 28 all out. Most of those, we believe, as of June 3rd, we had presented to you all, and they're on your side of the table. Recognizing that you all had wanted to see what we were going to do on 16, completely acknowledging that that was the last conversation. So I'm happy to go ahead and send these over to you. I'm sending the email right now, but that's where we are. And at this point, 4 and 7, by my records, are loaded in DocuSign still. I
Yeah.
thought we had a final version that we had agreed on, and I wasn't sure 100%. And again, I'm not putting words in the GAU team's mouth about wanting to hold off and wait on C on 16. If that was the case, so be it. I had thought we were ready to TA those. I understand if we're not, but that was our impression, at least where we had left that on those two. The other ones we realized were still sort of up in the air. So I'm sending this email to you now, and we'd like you to consider them as a package, and we'd like you to sign them all. And if you're willing to, I'd be happy to load them all in DocuSign.
As far as 4 and 7 goes, those are in our inbox. I've signed them. Hannah is doing a last second check on them.
Okay,
Obviously, during the sessions, we haven't been pushing too hard there
sure,
since we still have stuff
understandable.
out signing. But no, we're still intending to TA those and get those signed.
Okay,
And those are some of the more complicated ones to get through. So we want to make sure each of us did a separate check to make sure we're doing those right.
totally understandable.
I believe with respect to the rest of them, as you mentioned, I think we're on the same page in terms of which ones are open. So I agree with those, and most of them are on GAU side as we were waiting for Article 16 to come back. We did, I believe, explicitly mention several times, at the very least, the connections between Article 10 and Article 16. Um, as we stated, those are both very vital to GAU. And I got to be frank with you. I mean, we waited almost 2 months to have this session. I believe we're very clear on where we're at. I think we were very clear on, you know, having patience and getting to this point to have this session. And I don't think disappointing is, a good enough word to say kind of where the University of Florida is at here. I mean, this is something, release time appointments are vital to the continued existence of GAU. Um, it's vital for our leadership team to be able to operate. It's vital for us to enforce our contract in pretty much every aspect. Um, and it's not like, it's not like GAU is asking for a massive change to Article 16. We're asking for CCL. We're saying this contract has been in place for several years, and we're happy to continue with that CCL and where it's at for release time appointments. And so for the University of Florida to really dig in their heels here and say, you're not willing to make these changes after GAU has made time and time again compromise after compromise so we can get to this contract done. Because to be quite frank, we're tired of the delays. We're tired of how long this has taken. And a 2 month delay definitely doesn't help that. Um, it's frankly like, what is your end goal here for the University of Florida? Why is release time the, one hill that you are willing to stand on time and time again, when it's not financially expensive, that's for sure. It's cheaper than most of the provisions we talk about. It's cheaper than some of our former presidents are getting in their retirement ages. It's cheaper than the other unions have gotten in raises just in the last few weeks. Um, and it's something that is just a continuation. So it's frank, it's annoying, it's disrespectful to GAU, it's ridiculous. With that in mind, I have 2 articles to share with you today. And I can get those sent to you in email right after this. I don't have them loaded up right now, but let me start with Article 25. Article 25 is one we've talked about again and again, but it's a very close one. So Article 25, I think we're pretty much there. We talked about it. It's very minor changes. The only change we made is for negotiations. We want to make it, instead of no earlier than October 1st, no later than October 1st. So we want to make it, we do get those 9 months unless both sides agree that we want to open it earlier if we have more things to talk about. With it being no
Understood.
earlier than October 1st, that could say we're still opening it a month before the contract expires. So we want to make it clear that we want that extra time to bargain and make that clear.
All right, we can talk about that.
Yep. And then I have a proposal for Article 10 for you here, and I'll get this sent over an email as well. So Is that sharing the right screen? It is. Okay. So for Article 10, I think we were very close on getting something done for Article 10. We talked as a team several times about trying to figure something out and making sure we get this done. But again, this is connected to Article 16. This is connected to RTs, and RTs are not something that we've said we're willing to compromise on. But I've stated again and again that we lowered our ask for the minimum stipend under the consideration that Article 16 remains at CCL. If the University of Florida is not willing to go to CCL for Article 16, we're not going to stay as low as we were in Article 10. This is the other flip side of that coin. So the minimum stipend for a 9-month GA is 26,000 and 34,667 for a 12-month GA, and the change to the merit raise has been raised from $0 to $1,067 for a 12-month and $800 for a 9-month, which matches some of our previous considerations before we had lowered them with connection to Article 16. So, I'm happy to have you look at these and tell us what you think, but if you're not going to budge on Article 16, which, to be frank, we are rejecting yours and reasserting our proposal there, this is our proposal for Article 10, and that's where we will stand, because that's what GAs deserve at the very least. We're still far away from a living wage. We're still far away from GAs being able to pay down their debts and, live a comfortable lifestyle, but we also recognize we want this contract to be done. So, this is where we stand on both of these articles, and this is where we're going to stand.
So Austin, I want to make sure I understand. That version is with, just state it one more time so I want to make sure I understand. That is your version of Article 10 with or without our version of 16.
If the University of Florida is committed to getting rid of release time, as in Article 16 with which you proposed, this
Right.
is where we're at on Article 10. Our lowering we had of Article 10 before was with our understanding of trying to get to CCL on Article 16.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. I want to make sure I understood. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, and we also want to clarify here, we have one other thing for release time is we've already approved release time for the fall semester. So removing of it would require a whole bunch of, I'm not even sure what, for those people who have already been confirmed to have appointments into the fall semester. So it's completely, confusing at that point that the University of Florida would, on one hand, approve these release time appointments for the fall, and on the other hand, state that they are committed to removing them as soon as possible.
I mean, I think that's not that confusing from a perspective of we don't have an agreement on the contract and we're still bargaining it. We were not going to implement based on our proposal without an agreement. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but we didn't unilaterally implement our version of 16 because we're still at the table.
Cass, what do you got?
Yeah, I was gonna say relatively the same thing, but also adding that I think once we get to that point, I think we really need to hear like a consideration of our counteroffer for stipends before we consider that, and then we can cross that bridge when we get there in terms of implementation.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask one more time in this moment. Patrick, is there anything that you can articulate as to why you all want to get rid of the RT program?
Get rid of which?
The RT program.
Oh, release time. Yeah, I've said it multiple times, but I'm happy to share again. We do not view. I heard, and Austin articulated why it's important to the union. We do not believe that the release time share is of a mutual interest. We believe it is of a one-sided interest that serves the union but does not serve the university, and we're not interested in continuing it.
Can I ask, since this is CCL, right? Since I assume the RT program has been in place for decades, in contract after contract that we've all agreed upon, which you all assert over and over and over again, is the most important thing, right? Is stuff that we've already agreed upon, and that's our starting place. What has made you change your mind? that this is now one-sided all of a sudden.
I'm not saying it's one-sided all of a sudden, but we now find it to be a compelling interest in that it's obviously no longer a mutual interest. And this is the opportunity to make an adjustment is during full book bargaining, and we feel it's important. We have talked about it numerous times. This is not something that we are just, arbitrarily deciding, and I acknowledge that we have a fundamental difference of opinion on it, but this is the time when we feel the need to assert the fact that we absolutely want it out of the contract.
Well, I mean, that's where we're at. Yeah, I think we have those differences there. I think it's on the University of Florida to decide what you guys want to do next as far as these articles. But I mean, there's not much else to say on that point. We are at, opposite ends for the release time.
So
And
let me ask that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Austin.
no, continue, please.
I was going to say, so is there anything of substantive discussion in any of the other remaining articles that are out, or is the GAU position that they are all sort of patchwork quilt interrelated to 10 and 16, and there's not really any value in trying to talk about them independent or separate from 10 and 16? Because I want to be careful. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to make sure I understand.
I think I want to make this as clear as possible as well. When it comes to, and this is something that I forgot to say earlier, but when it comes to Articles 23, 24, and 28, which we're changing to Article 26 to match the numbers, I should have said this earlier. We are ready to TA all of those. I think we're fine with where
Oh,
they're at.
okay.
Those are
Okay.
not intertwined. We're ready to get those out of the way and off the table. And we really want to focus on these articles that we have left. 25 is a very minor change, which we think is fine. It's fine. Sorry, Article 13 as well is one we're ready to TA. I don't know if I mentioned that one.
You did not. Would you mind including that in your email to me when you send the ones that you just showed on the screen? Would you
Yes.
mind just
Yes,
putting
I
that
will.
in a sentence for me in the email?
Yes.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and that should just leave 10 and 16 with what's open. So
All right.
Cass, what do you got?
I was gonna say, I think Article 16 should be on our side then, if that's what the conversation has been. We can discuss more during debrief, but I think Article
Yeah.
16 is on our side then.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what we've got to share today. I'm gonna huddle up with my team if you guys want to do your debrief, and we will wait to get the email from you, Austin, and I will be in touch.
Okay. Can you also within the next few days, if your team could, I will send you an email as well with our team's availability over the next couple of days and weeks if we
Sure.
can get something set in stone. I don't want to. I honestly, I don't have the patience for another 2-month break. I understand you guys had to have meetings and stuff, but I think
Right.
we really need to get this done, and I don't think extended breaks is going to get us there. So I'd love to get something set on the calendar as soon as possible, or
Yeah.
at least have
I'll
a reason. If you have to have meetings, say we have to have meetings, but we are dedicated within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, I will get you that information hopefully within the next 24 hours.
That sounds perfect, and I'll send you my team's
Okay.
availability as well, so we're on the same there.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay,
All right.
my team we'll wait a minute and then we will head to debrief.
All right, we're gonna head over to our caucus room, my team.
Okay.
You guys.